Good morning, everyone. It's Thursday, April 8th. From the San Antonio Express News, my name is Luis Vasquez, and this is your Express Briefing. All of the stories you need to know to start your day. You can expect partly sunny skies with a high of 94 degrees in San Antonio today. The massive loss in power generation during the Texas blackout in February was caused primarily by power plants freezing up under historically cold conditions, according to a new report by the Electric Reliability Council of Texas. Texas counties that are poorer, whiter, less educated, and where former President Donald Trump won a large share of the vote, have vaccinated fewer people than the state average, according to a new analysis. We have what that means for Texas's ability to quickly reach herd immunity for COVID-19 over at expressnews.com. And now let's move on to our top stories for the day. CPS Energy is spending $3.5 million to give many of its customers a break, a one-time billing credit this month to those who lost power for a total of 24 hours or more during February's winter storm. But the savings won't come close to matching the misery they experienced. CPS is reducing customers' bills based on how much time they went without lights, heat, or the ability to cook food. We have a look at how much you can expect off your next bill in Diego Mendoza Moyer's latest story. The first time John Vargas Jr. realized his life was in danger, he was surrounded by strangers. It was late June and the coronavirus had been spreading rapidly across San Antonio, infecting people in their homes, at gatherings with friends and families, and in restaurants, bars, and stores, and at the call center where John had recently started working. His temperature had spiked to 102 degrees, and he was gasping for breath between words. An ambulance rushed him to Baptist Medical Center downtown. It was the start of an ordeal spanning several months in hospitals in Texas and Florida. Reporter Lauren Karuba followed John as he became one of the first COVID-19 patients to receive a double lung transplant. You can read his story over at expressnews.com. Devin Kelly, the Sutherland Springs gunman, bought body armor, 100-round drum machines for the rifle, and made notes of himself in his iPhone to prepare, including notations to delete his social media accounts, destroy his phones, and leave his dog tags for his son. The revelations came during a civil trial over a lawsuit filed against the federal government by survivors and family of victims of the tragedy, one of Texas's worst mass shootings. You can read more about the first day of trial, including the testimony from Kelly's wife, Danielle Smith, who said her husband kicked her in the stomach while pregnant and treated her like trash, in Guillermo Contreras' latest story. Elena Ayala writes, quote, "Amid a new renovation plan for the state-owned Alamo and city-owned Alamo Plaza, a reset ordered by Mayor Ron Nirenberg on March 1st will try to rescue both the renovation and the city's relationship with Tap Pilam. As the plan moves ahead, Tap Pilam is venting steam. Tribal leader Raymond Hernandez had hoped his children wouldn't have to fight the same struggles his generation waged to bring recognition to Indian cemeteries and to safeguard graves at the Alamo, the city's 4 Southside cemeteries, and other public spaces. Read the full column for more on why Hernandez says he doesn't have much trust in the negotiations. Governor Greg Abbott called on the federal government to shut down the temporary facility housing migrant children at the Freeman Coliseum on Wednesday, saying 2 state agencies have received several complaints alleging child abuse and neglect. The Texas Health and Human Services Commission and the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services each received separate tips Wednesday morning, Abbott said at a quickly called news conference in front of the Coliseum. The complaints alleged that some children had been sexually assaulted, that the facility was understaffed, that some children were not getting meals throughout the day, and that children testing positive for the coronavirus were not separated from the other kids. Next up are your need-to-know headlines. You can find all of these headlines and more inside of your Express News subscription. San Antonio City Council members were generally pleased with recent changes to the multi-million-dollar Alamo Plaza makeover plan, but several raised concerns about costs, street closures, and free speech access to the historic Mission and Battle site. UT Health San Antonio is further expanding outside of the South Texas Medical Center with plans to build an outpatient clinic on the city's rapidly growing northwest side. Leaders in the Texas House on Wednesday unveiled a suite of healthcare initiatives aimed at boosting access for new moms, children, Texas in rural areas, and those who depend on costly prescription drugs. A political campaign watchdog says U.S. Senator Ted Cruz violated federal election law by using campaign cash to pay for Facebook ads last year, hawking his book about the U.S. Supreme Court. A man who was accused of illegally diverting $9,000 worth of water from a San Antonio water system pipe is fighting back. 70-year-old John Ripley says he was falsely arrested for a media stunt. The Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office has identified one of the two people found dead inside a Northside home Tuesday afternoon. The guilty pleas are piling up in a fraud case that the Bank of San Antonio says cost it more than $13 million. On Wednesday, Rigo Alvarado of Irving became the third defendant to enter a plea. 5 were indicted in the case. Membership in Forbes magazine's annual ranking of the world's billionaires has swelled by nearly a third. But there's no need to check to see if you made it. No one new from San Antonio cracked the list. 7 candidates, including 2 incumbents, are vying for 3 seats on the Southwest ISD board in the May 1st election. We have everything you need to know about that race over at expressnews.com. A state district judge here has recused himself from handling the criminal case of former Precinct 2 Constable Michelle Barrientos Vela because of a photo of the two of them that she posted on social media. A Bexar County man convicted 10 years ago for assaulting his boyfriend has been exonerated after his accuser recanted and witnesses confirmed there was no such attack. Rob Pivnick, a Texas lawyer, published a useful book this week addressing the urgent topic of financial literacy. It's aimed at kids, but I suspect many of us adults need this as well, writes Michael Taylor. Check out his Q&A with Pivnick over at expressnews.com. After serving 39 years as a civilian employee with the U.S. Army, Yolanda Lopez divided her free time volunteering at 3 places: the Thrift Shop of Fort Sam Houston, Brooke Army Medical Center, and Moreno Primary Care Clinic. Then the pandemic hit, and she saw an opportunity. The San Antonio Food Bank, with a demand greater than ever, had a diminished volunteer force, with many seasoned volunteers scared of possible infection. "I need to go there," Lopez said to herself. Since then, she has dedicated more than 360 hours to the organization, working in the warehouse, delivering food to people's homes, preparing meals in the community kitchen. Lopez is just one of the 62,716 dedicated volunteers who have given their time to the food bank during a tumultuous year. Liz Hardaway has her story over at expressnews.com. This week, Paul Steven brings you the 5 best shops to buy tortillas in San Antonio along Blanco from Hildebrand to Castle Hills. This is the second story in our series on where to buy the best tortillas in San Antonio. And these spots also sell great carnitas, tamales, and margaritas. A small bakery nestled in San Antonio's Monte Vista neighborhood is serving up some of the city's most unique and craveable pastries, with hard-to-find chocolate babka leading the charge. Does your dog like to bolt away from you as soon as it senses freedom? In this week's Animals Matter column, Kathy Rosenthal tells us teaching it to come when called is pretty easy. Maybe you're getting out more now that spring has arrived and don't have as much time to read. Many of April's best new books are right for that moment. Jim Christ has his 10 best over on our website. The San Antonio Book Festival returns this year with its biggest lineup ever after taking 2020 off because of the pandemic. We have more info on that and other arts and entertainment highlights this week over at expressnews.com. Newcomer Gorgie Jeng is already playing in pain, but remains a go for the Spurs playoff fight. And that's all for today. This was your Express Briefing for Thursday, April 8th. My name is Luis Vasquez. Please consider becoming an Express News subscriber to get in-depth coverage on all the stories you heard today. Also, be sure to rate and review this podcast inside of your Apple Podcast app, as it really helps the show. Have a wonderful day, everyone.